with the 3 C's of lending.
Mhm.
Why don't you break that down for us, Ted? What are the 3 C's of lending?
So we have the credit, obviously. We have
Hmm.
cash and collateral.
Collateral. There you go. And
Yeah.
sometimes you might hear capacity.
Hmm.
That's income, right?
Right.
Credit, capacity, collateral. But we're going to deal with the credit portion, dig or go a little deeper. And after this week, we feel that we have given enough of a roadmap for you all to be able to understand and implement those things so that you can put your best foot forward when it comes to buying a home or anything that you need to finance with.
Correct, correct. I'm
Yeah.
a, I'm a, I'm gonna step in real quick, Rob, because I think if they missed the past few weeks,
Yeah.
they tune in today,
Yeah.
they're gonna get enough of what they need to be able to make that purchase decision. Like that's how important today is.
With that, since you were so strong with it, right? What,
Right.
what, let's jump right into step one, man. What do you say step one is? Okay.
We need to know what's on the credit file. So step one is very simple. Obtain a copy of your credit report with all three bureaus, those being TransUnion, Equifax, and Experian. This is kind of everybody knows about credit repair, right? It's the sexy thing out. People think they can become an overnight success because of credit repair. This is essentially the first step in credit repair. We can't dispute or make sure something's incorrect if we don't know what's there. So let's start by understanding what's on those reports because you do have a legal right. The CFPB wants you to be sure that everything being reported is completely accurate. So that's the first step. Before we do anything, let's just get a copy of it and see what's on there.
And you know, that sounds simply stated, right? It just sounds so simple, right? But I find in my practice, Tev, that there is an apprehension that people have, maybe a mental block,
Hmm.
as either they don't want to know what's on the credit report.
Hmm.
So they come up with all of these excuses not to be able to go to the CFPB, right?
Right, right.
Get the instructions, and then find out how to get a free copy of the report. So what say you, man? What are some of the mental things that someone could do to get over that hurdle? Some exercises one could do for themselves to push through that so we can get the credit report. They can get their credit report to see what's on it.
No, I think it's a great question. Right now, it feels like credit, especially in our cohort in our communities. I'll just be honest. It's kind of like going to the doctor. Like you know something's a little bit wrong, but if you don't go to the doctor and they don't diagnose you, then you don't have to deal with it. You don't have to face it. So that's how we look at our credit reports. I know I haven't been paying for stuff on time. Maybe I got some collections. Maybe I don't. I haven't paid that credit card. Maybe But as long as I don't look at it, it's just not real to me. What we need to do to overcome that is become comfortable understanding the need to look at our credit at a minimum 12 times a year. Like every single month, you need to see where am I? Has anything changed? What am I doing to correct it? Based on the types of information you get on a home show. So, where am I? Did anything change? And what can I do to better my situation for myself and my family? We have to get over that fear of not knowing what's on that credit report and not seeing that score. It's not going to change if you don't do anything.
I love it, man. An ounce of prevention is better than a pound of cure, and we must change the paradigm in our communities. In that, I love what you said. Once a month, man, that needs to be the new process, the new algorithm. Because how often do the creditors and or collections how often are they reporting to the agencies?
Once a month.
You
Yeah.
know, once a month, right? Makes sense. I love it. I love it.
Mhm.
What's your step number two, man?
All right. So number two, we're going into the most impactful component of your credit, which is your payment history. If you are currently late, it's fine. We need to catch up on those past due amounts and then start to build a habit of paying the bills on time. We have to start there. Like the credit repair isn't going to save it because at the end of the day, what those credit repair organizations aren't going to tell you is that credit is a habitual process. It's a numerical outcome of your habits. So if you don't change your habits, even if they wipe everything off your credit, and you get a 720 credit score, it's not going to be sustainable because eventually you're going to go back to doing the things you were not disciplined enough to correct over that duration of time. So if you're past due, get to where you can catch those things up and then start making those payments on time. Payment history is worth 35% of your FICO credit score. It's that important.
And it's that simple. You know what I love, Tevin? Just like when in our intro, right? Uh, the internet, it's a disruptor, is it not?
Oh yeah.
I
Oh, yeah.
mean, at one point in time, I remember, and I'm not that old, but I can
Not at
remember,
all.
man, Mr. Telephone Man. There's something wrong with my line, party line. I can remember that. Some of you all don't know what I'm speaking of, but my point is this: there is no excuse, and the information is readily available, right? And so going forward, Unc is not going to, talk to you guys like that so much. But what I'm saying is this: just like the analogy that Tevin used in step one, just like in our cohort, man, we hate going to the doctor.
Mhm.
And then, we slow singing and flower bringing.
Mhm.
And a lot of times it's premature. So
Right.
in step two, right, from what you just said, very simple, not hard. This is not heavy lifting, but I also like to challenge you to teach your young folks. The Bible says, bring up a child in the way they should. I'm a preacher.
There it is. I knew it was coming.
It's in me. It ain't on me, right?
Right.
So why do I say that? It's about behaviors.
Mhm.
And this is something that folks around my way have always said, right? Don't let it once be named amongst you. In other words, if you bring up your children understanding these credit things, those behaviors, which are the hardest things to change, is your behavior.
Mhm.
They'll have the behavior going forward of having an understanding, not of fear, and ultimately your generation, that thing that we was talking about for 2 years, the generational wealth, that's
Mhm.
generational wealth. So deal with yourself, but teach those behind you, because behaviors, once established, are often never changed, man. I just hate to say that.
Right. No, and I agree with you 100%, Rob. Like that's the mindset and the behavior is the hardest thing to change. And I think that when you start to look to your children and you understand that there's a generation coming behind you that's looking for your guidance, that's also another layer that's going to keep you accountable because
Yeah,
you can't be a hypocrite or they're going to call you out on that too. So
yeah.
do the things, understand the foundational things that we need to know, teach them and do it. And then they'll get repetitions of father learn. If they see their parents doing it, they see their parents creating the budget, not living above their means and planning big purchases, then maybe they'll do it too.
Number three.
All right, guys. So we're going into number three. If you have credit cards, focus on paying the balances down to less than 10%. I know the internet says 30%. I want to focus on 10%. This is deliberate. This is not an accident. 10% is the number because when you get less than 10%, you're maximizing the capacity that the 30% of your credit score, which is credit utilization, can impact your credit score. So if you're maxing out a credit card right now, for easy numbers' sake, it's $100. We're going to pay it down to $9.
Love
That's
it.
the simple math.
Love it. Love it, man. Those that know, man. We entertain sometimes, but if you really can listen and follow these steps, and this it's never free, because that's something else I want to kill, Tevin. And we'll start killing it tonight. This
Mhm.
isn't free. And even for you, it's not free, because your time is your most valuable resource. Once
Absolutely.
it's spent, you cannot get it back. But the production isn't free. It's on me.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But if when you don't have a lot of money, guess what you have? Time.
Hmm.
And my challenge to you is be a better steward over the time that you've been given.
Hmm.
And you don't have to remain in these places that you are. Again, hear what he said. The next 9% is just not a laissez-faire number we pulled out of the sky, but it helps you maximize the what? The 35%, right, of the
Hmm.
portion of the score.
Right.
It's all in baked in the cake. Last thing I'll say on this, Tev, and you let me know if we can move forward. But you see these things here that I see everybody with.
Oh, yes, sir.
This is the most. Do you know? They say when they went to the moon, right? It took a computer probably as big as my house. Got a nice house, right?
Right.
You
Right.
got more processing power in this.
Mm-hmm.
And we're using it a lot of times to distract ourselves from the things that we know that are underlying, and we're hoping that they're going away, right?
Oh
Put
yeah.
put a reminder on the phone. Okay? Put a reminder on the phone and know your numbers. You'll
Mm-hmm.
never you'll never amass any amount of wealth when you don't know your numbers. I'll
Mm-hmm.
leave it there.
No, I love it. I love it. You can't change what you can't measure.
Number 4.
All right.
Number
Um,
4.
so this is kind of a chip off the old block with number three in terms of the credit card,
Uh-huh.
an authorized user account. Of course, this is another hot topic. It's sexy because people want to find every shortcut they can. I'm putting it here because when you use it the right way, let's say your wife, your mom, your aunt, someone that's a loved one that's willing to put you on an account, you're not going to get a credit card and spend their money, but you're on the account, so it reflects on your credit reports. There's three things that can happen to positively impact your credit because of this. Payment history. If they've had that account for 10 years, 12 is the amount of months in a year times 10. So it's 120 payments that's going to go into your percentage calculation of your payment history, which always needs to be above 97%. So you're going to get an additional, for 35% worth of your credit score, you're going to get an additional 120 payments to benefit you and boost up that payment history. So you get the benefit of the payment history, 35%. If they keep their balances low, like we just talked about, less than 10%, and they have higher balances or higher limits. Let's say they have a $10,000 credit card and you only have a $3,000 credit card. Now, them having it less than $1,000 looks like you have more available credit, and they can take you from maxing out a credit card to now you're at less than 9%, and now you're going to have an impact of that 30%. We're at 65% of your credit score. Two things. And this is where it gets really good. If that account is 10 years old, that history or that 10 years is going to go into your credit age, which is the third most important at 15%. So now we're at 80%, if my math serves me correctly. 80% of your credit score can be impacted by an authorized user account, but it has to be the right type of account. It can't have late payments. It doesn't help you. It can't be maxed out credit card. Doesn't help you. And the younger ones don't help you as much. 80% of your score is in the right choice of an authorized user account. So that is a shortcut.
Back to that generational wealth, man. So what I hear you saying, man, and what I'd like to add to that before we move forward, um, membership matters, man. A
Oh yeah.
lot of times, this is what I mean by that. I talk to my family all the time, and the older I get, I realize how blessed I was being born into the family that I was born into,
Hmm.
because you don't have any choice over that, right?
Right.
And so, to those of you out there that have pillars, rocks, reliable family members, don't take advantage of them,
Hmm.
right? And if they do extend that offer to you, the benefit is this. As Tevin has said a couple of times, you're looking for the shortcut, right? We're looking for the sugar hit, the sugar rush.
Hmm.
And that's a short-term solution. And the reason that that's not going to be a viable option going forward is because of the internet,
Right.
AI, computing power. You can't get away with things that you could even get away with 2 years ago. So it's a good time to repent, right? Uh,
Right.
change your ways, and if you do have somebody that's willing to, you know, uh, let you ride off of their good name,
Hmm.
don't use it in vain.
Right. Right. Now I agree with that 100%, Rob. Step four is more of a boost after you've started to do the right things that we talked about in one, two, and three. So you don't skip one, two, and three, go to four, and then try to buy this house or buy this car. That's you're cheating the system at that point, and it's never gonna change. It's never gonna change because as soon as that account is no longer available to you, your credit score is gonna go back to what your habits are. That's not what you want.
Number 5.
All right. We're getting close to the end, guys, but number 5 is really important. Even though inquiries only account for 10% of your credit score, the lender sees them and they see where you've been, what you've been doing, who you've been trying to get credit from. And if all of those accounts, which most of them typically don't, become an open account of credit, then they know that you've been denied. So now a lender, somebody thinking, okay, do I give this person money or access to credit? Why do I? Why don't I? When you have a lot of inquiries on your credit, they can pull down your score, yes, but it also shows the lender that you've been getting denied. And they're going to have respect for those other lenders and say, they found a reason to deny you. So I'm just going to go on their decision. I'm going to deny you too. So it's an eyesore, even if your scores are decent. Chase is one of the banks that would do it. If you got over 5, you can have a 700 score. Over 5 inquiries, we don't want you. You shopping for credit too much.
They hit you with that Matumbo.
No. Every time. So, and it's funny, but inquiries are one of the things that are baked into the criteria for a lot of lending options. So even like I said, you can have that good score because of number 4. You got that authorized user account. So now you're in the 700s. You got 8 inquiries. Nobody wants to lend you anything because part of the criteria says we don't want you with more than 5 per bureau. So you still have to monitor your spending. You still have to be disciplined. You still have to be resourceful in the way that you obtain new credit. And you have to be, honestly, you just got to build proper habits. Like the same thing that we're talking about is becoming the theme of the show because credit is just a numerical form of your habits.
You are who you are. Check this out, Tev. Along the lines of what you're talking about, right? Birds of a feather flock together. If you're watching, type that in. Birds of a feather flock together. This is what I mean, okay? Because you reference Chase. I won't reference any company, but here's the deal. Klarna, Affirm. Help me out, Tev. This is your space.
Forpay.
Say again.
Forpay.
We'll leave with those.
Yeah.
What do those companies, who do they lend to?
People that are looking to rebuild their credit.
See, birds of a feather flock together, right? So again, not only is it easy for someone to see who you are, and there's no shame in it, but I'm just telling you, it's not hard. It's the internet, it's the connectivity, right? We can find stuff, and that is our job as lenders. Our job is to get you into a home with the most conservative stance possible, right? I shouldn't have you at 55%. Had to gross up your non-taxable income. Had to get you an MCC mortgage credit. The seller had to give you 27% and you got $3 in the bank. Guess what that is waiting to happen? A foreclosure.
Right.
Okay. So again, we're coming back. We're slowing it down, and we're wanting you to understand the why to the credit piece. And then when you do that, a couple of things will happen, and we can move forward. You'll stop falling prey to the victims or the lust of your flesh. Meaning, somebody comes around and says, "Hey, bro, I could do da 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 da, but it's gonna cost you da 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 da." See, it always costs you.
Everything costs. Right.
It costs. And what we're trying to do is get past that, okay? Get past it so that you could truly begin to build wealth. Because if you stay in that, I gotta play a death loop, you're gonna play yourself.
Right. Now, once again, man, I agree. I think it's spot on. That in which you don't measure, you can't change. These themes are like living throughout the podcast at this point because you just have to monitor yourself. You have to act appropriately, and you have to get yourself out of these cycles. It's just simple.
You could do it. Number six. Number 6
is funny because even when I was thinking this out, as much as I know that this is kind of like building the habit that we're talking about, this should be number 1. Because before you even pull your credit, before you even go apply for credit, getting out of high school, somebody should have taught you how to budget.
Not the B word.
Oh, man. Rob, I'm going to say this, and I might be the first person to go on record saying this. Your budget is more important to your credit than any of those 35, 30, any of those percentages, because it lives in your credit. Your budget is your payment history. Your budget is your credit utilization. It's everything. Your budget is your amount of inquiries, because when you budget properly, you know what is my surplus of income that I can use to play. What can I do some things with? And if you don't have it, you don't try to buy it. You in turn don't have a lot of inquiries. You see how everything just flows because it's all based on responsible spending.
But Tevin, I feel like, that's y'all saying. I feel like feelings don't count, Tevin. Is that what you telling me?
Look, I'm gonna tell you, my one pastor I talked to said that people use feel instead of think because they don't want to be wrong. If they say I think, you're wrong. If
you
you
got
think
that gray
plus
area.
2 is 5, you're wrong.
Yeah, I
But when
like
you say feel, we gotta be respectful to
accountable.
your
You got to be held accountable. Yeah,
right.
yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you, man. Go
Oh
ahead.
no, you're all good, man. So that budget is extremely important. It literally sets the foundation for everything that's going to happen with your credit, because that budget sets the foundation for your habits. Once you become disciplined to a budget, you create a system that's repeatable, that you can execute at a high enough level, and you're gonna pay your bills on time because it's within budget. You're gonna keep your credit utilization percentages low because you're not living on 125 or 150% of your income. You don't need the credit. It's just there for an emergency. And next, one of these times we're gonna talk about an emergency fund. Y'all gonna take me back to my financial planning days, but that ain't what we talk about right now.
Not today, Pastor. Not today. So I think we hit it on the head for today, right? I'm gonna give myself a pat on the back. Y'all didn't know I only cut them off one time, right? Oh, and I just said right. I'm working on the filler words. But anywho, let's recap because we want to respect your time. And I'll give a little segue into next week. The next C out of the 3 C's, we're going to deal with capacity or income. Okay. So tonight, Tevin, excellent job with those 6 steps. The recap is as follows. Number 1, get a copy of your credit report. How often? Tevin says once a month. And I agree. Number 2, no late payments. Guys, use your phones, call a friend, have somebody send you a smoke signal. Late payments are killing your credit. And in a lot of cases, and from what I'm seeing, it's just a lack of, like Tevin says, knowing your numbers, lack of documentation. Number 3, utilization. 10% or less have?
Yes, sir. That's the number.
9%, right, of your credit cards. Some of you guys, because of what's been going on, I'm going to put it on somebody else. The pandemic is over and the euphoria is coming down. All you got to do is watch some of these folks. Matter of fact, they've left the industry. Okay. A lot of them are stressed out because that business credit that you can't see on the credit report, you still got to pay for it. Right. Okay. So mind the credit cards. They're a tool, 9% or less. Utilize authorized users if you can. It's a blessing because somebody has 10, 12 plus years. You can't hack that. Right? That's a gift. But if somebody gives it to you, be a good steward over it, right? Limit the number of inquiries. Okay. Chase ain't having it. And as money gets tighter, I'm already seeing it. It's more than the credit score. It's the profile. I'm seeing turn downs with people with higher credit scores, right? But the other 2 legs of the triangle aren't adding up. Last but not least, the B word. Got a budget, guys. Budget. I'll just leave it there. What say you, Tev, as we get ready to get out of here, man?
No, like I said, I thought today was probably one of the more impactful sessions that we would have because it really dives deep into, hey, I'm in a place where I'm at, that 300 to let's say, 580 or 579 credit score. How do I take the next step? How do I get closer to home ownership? And the honest truth is, these are the steps. This is where you start. Let's get a budget under control because I learned this from Rob. Rob is my mentor. I learned this from Rob. If you want to purchase a home, I need to know that for the last 6 months, at the bare minimum, you've paid everything on time and that you got your stuff under control. You can't come trying to get money from a lender and you were late on your car payment last month. They're gonna see you as you're risky because you're not in a position where you've sustained all of your responsibilities as of late. Now, 6 months, like I said, is the bare minimum. We want 2 years of you having your things together. It just means you're more responsible. So I think today was a good segue into next week, like you mentioned. But it takes anyone that's starting the process of correcting their credit to make any major purchase, be it homes, auto, whatever the case may be. Today starts you on that journey.
So there you have it, guys. We all can't make moves at the same time. It takes time. If somebody could tell me where rap song that comes from next week, I might have something for you. So for my esteemed co-host, Mr. Tevin Goggins, pardon me, and myself, Robert Lewis, we want to thank you for your time. We know you can spend it anywhere. Okay. Share this out with folks that you know that this might impact or help. And by all means, if we could be of any assistance, and we would love to, reach out to us. And because lending is what we do. So with that, guys, our time is up, but we thank you for yours. Hey, as we always say, let's be good to one another. Let grace abound. And until the next time, peace. Y'all be blessed.
Peace.